As Tyneside was still waking up, a curious atmosphere began to circulate, the kind that makes any Newcastle supporter stop for a moment and try to understand what might be unfolding behind the scenes. It wasn't a headline nor an official statement, but a collective feeling, almost like a whisper passing through St. James Park and echoing among those who lived the club up close. Something big seemed to be approaching, even though no one knew exactly what kind of impact it might bring. The only certainty was movement, and whenever there is movement, Newcastle usually finds itself at the center of attention. This quiet yet expectant atmosphere never appears without reason in Newcastle. In recent years, supporters have grown used to feeling it before key moments, especially since the club began aiming higher. Through conversations, exchanged glances and that shared intuition that accompanies everyone who loves the club, it was impossible not to notice that something was being set in motion. And even before any confirmation emerged, the community was already speculating about possible changes, scenarios and reinforcements. Following the pace, if you're a supporter and want to stay informed about what really matters, remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. With the team having fluctuated more than expected at the start of the season, the search for answers has become even more urgent. Eddie Howe's side is living through a continuous rebuilding phase, trying to adjust pieces, find alternatives and maintain competitiveness amid increasingly demanding schedules. And while some analyze the recent performances, others turn their attention to what might be next, especially in the transfer market. It's no secret that work continues behind the scenes, and those paying attention to the signs can sense that important reinforcements are now being discussed more seriously. Although many names appear as possibilities, some rumors gain more traction than others. Newcastle is searching for balance, intensity and technical quality in specific areas of the pitch, and that naturally directs the club towards very particular targets. But before revealing exactly who has entered the radar with strength, it's important to highlight that the current movement is not random. It's a direct consequence of past decisions, tactical adjustments that need revisiting, and above all, the gaps that have become clear over recent months. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss the next part of the story. The revelation came through the British newspaper The Telegraph. Elliot Anderson, of Nottingham Forest, has become one of Newcastle's main targets for the next window, with his name gaining strength among the favourites to reinforce the squad. A figure that confirms the weight of the deal and places Newcastle firmly among the most interested clubs. The information hit Tyneside like lightning, reigniting debates about past decisions and about the impact Anderson could have if he truly returned to the place where he was formed. The interest in Anderson has deep roots. He was always viewed as a standout talent within Newcastle's academy, someone who showed intensity, game intelligence and decision-making ability from a very young age. His departure, driven by the financial pressure caused by the Premier League's PSR rules, was met with a mix of regret and resignation. Now, with the player shining for Forest and attracting attention from major clubs such as Manchester United and Chelsea, the sense of regret has become natural. And before the conversation goes further, don't forget, subscribe to the channel to keep following stories like this firsthand. Anderson has developed into one of the most complete midfielders in the Premier League, tenacious, balanced, aggressive in the right measure and showing continuous technical evolution. He has established himself as a constant presence in Forest's midfield. His call-up to the England national team only confirmed what many already knew. He is a player with an exceptionally high ceiling. Thomas Tuchel even publicly praised him, stating that he is one of the best midfielders in the league. For Newcastle, hearing that sparked a mix of pride and frustration, given the youngster was a homegrown gem. On the pitch, the numbers support the narrative. Since his arrival at Forest for £35 million, Anderson has become one of the most influential players in ball recovery, physical duels and in driving midfield transitions. He represents exactly the profile Howe is seeking to regain the dynamism lost after Joe Linton's drop in form. The Brazilian was a pillar for years, but naturally began to show signs of wear. Anderson, meanwhile, is at his physical and technical peak, offering everything Howe's system demands: intensity, power, versatility and high-pressing ability. The comparison with Walter Maid arises almost inevitably. There is also the emotional factor, which cannot be ignored. Elliot Anderson was developed at Newcastle, grew up within the club's environment and always showed a special affection for the shirt. Players like that usually bring a different level of commitment when returning to the place where it all began. For Howe, it means more than talent. It means someone who understands the identity, respects the process and wears the badge naturally. For supporters, it would be the reunion with a gem that never should have left. Analyst Ben Mattinson even described him as a warrior in midfield who does everything and a powerful passer. But the biggest point of discussion is the price. We're talking about a deal that could easily surpass £100 million. It's a hefty investment, but considering the numbers, technical impact and potential for further development, many believe it would be a fair price within the current Premier League context. The inflated market has turned such figures into something increasingly common, especially when dealing with young English players performing at elite level. The real question now is whether Newcastle will have the financial freedom to enter this race strongly. Another factor weighing into the story is the competition. Manchester United are monitoring closely, and Chelsea see Anderson as a strategic piece for the future. If either rival managed to secure him, Newcastle wouldn't simply be losing out on a reinforcement, they'd be losing a homegrown talent to direct competitors, something that could have major consequences in the battle for European spots. For that reason, there is significant internal pressure for the PIF to give the green light. Bringing Anderson back to the north would be more than a signing, it would be a statement of ambition. The comparison with Waltermate further emphasizes the magnitude of this potential deal. While the German has been doing a good job, Anderson could be more influential in the medium and long term. He would bring creativity, physical strength, game intelligence, personality and the ability to dictate tempo, all with a DNA forged in Tyneside. It's not an exaggeration to say he could reshape the entire midfield sector, pushing Newcastle closer to what Howe has long envisioned, an aggressive, technical, relentless midfield. And if you enjoy content that breaks down tactical impact like this, subscribe to the channel to keep receiving detailed analysis. The stage, therefore, is set. Newcastle are aiming high, watching closely and well aware that this move could define the next phase of the sporting project. Anderson isn't just another target, he has a chance to correct a past decision, rekindle old ties and strengthen a sector urgently needing renewal. If the PIF released funds and Howe receives approval, the possibility of a record-breaking bid cannot be dismissed. It would be a bold step, but fully aligned with the club's ambition. Now all that remains is to see whether Newcastle will turn this desire into concrete action. The supporters are watching, the English press is tracking every detail, and the rivals are monitoring every movement. And as this story continues to unfold, you can make sure you won't miss a single chapter. Simply subscribe to the channel and follow all updates on the futures of Elliot Anderson, Waltermate and everything surrounding Newcastle United. Information with credibility. Always supported by sources such as The Telegraph and other reliable outlets, all delivered as clearly as possible, with the passion only those who live the club can understand.